Hello and welcome to another episode of The Aftermath. My name is Ian, and I'm joined by Dylan.
Were you expecting anyone else?
Well, sometimes we have guests on, not all the time.
Do
You know.
every now and then.
Whenever we can, you know.
Two can be as bad as one, you know.
Well, especially when it's the gruesome twosome.
Of course.
Ethan is still kind of, he's still not feeling the greatest. Yeah. He's about to get on his new medicine and whatnot, so hopefully he'll make some more apparent. I can't even speak right now. He will make some more appearances on the show in the coming weeks. That would be really nice.
Oh, yeah.
I want to try and get Chase out here again for another interesting episode.
Definitely.
We have, before we get into this episode, we have at least two movies that I'm thinking of that I want to watch with Ethan.
Oh, yeah? I've got a couple tucked away, too.
Yes. I've been saving them because I want to watch them with him.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we can get some in the backlog. Would be really nice.
Oh, yeah.
One of them being Jupiter Ascending.
Oh, really?
I really want to watch that with Ethan. I just want to get his opinion because I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's bad.
Yeah.
But it could be a nominee
for the Yancey's.
For the Yancey's.
Maybe.
Which is for those of you who may not know is our award that we give movies that we think are probably going to be bad or that are bad,
but end up being fucking amazing.
But end up being like amazing or
to us
better than we surprised.
Yeah.
Better than we imagined.
Shatter our predetermined expectations.
That was all started because of horse sense.
Mm-hmm.
We like to say "hyants" around here,
right?
So, but that and then so far Chud is definitely on that list. And was there another one that I'm forgetting? I don't think so.
That's been about it so far.
Okay, so far we have two good ones, but I'm concerned that I think it's gonna be bad. But it also
I haven't seen it. The only thing I know about it is that it is not very well known.
Yeah. I won't speak on it on this.
Flew under the radar.
I won't speak on it on this episode a whole lot because it will have its own designated episode. Mm-hmm. But I think the strong point is that it has that quasi female protagonist complex where it's like it tries to be a strong female lead,
just doesn't quite
nail it. I think is kind of why.
That's a damn shame.
I think that's the main gripe about it.
Oh, okay.
Before we get the only thing I can tell you that I think everyone knows about it is it's not a very strong female lead, but that's like what the movie tries to pride itself in. Is like, whoa, and you're like, well,
like, all right, buddy.
Anyways, that's one of them, and the other one is and Dylan just found this on, was it Amazon or was it on
Prime Video? Yeah,
Prime Video. He found Velocipaster.
The one and only.
And I think
Ethan
that's going to be
has been nonstop mentioning this one, like every opportunity he gets.
Yes, for the past year or so.
This is required viewing.
Right. Not
only that, I stumbled upon something called Llamageddon.
Stop it. Okay, so again, before we get into those episodes, I just want to say that there are movies that were made, even,
right,
that are bad movies. And they're bad because I think that people just didn't have the time or effort to make them good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just a bad movie. But there's still some fun about them to where you're like, even if it's a bad movie, it's still fun to watch.
This aspect of it is still enjoyable.
And I believe the first Sharknado was like that. I don't remember seeing it, but it was crazy. It was wild. It was a bad movie, but it was still kind of fun.
That's one of the few self-aware bad movies I can think of.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. It spawned a culture of self-aware bad movies that are bad on purpose.
Distinctly satire.
And I'm scared that some of those movies like Llamageddon and Velocipaster are bad for the sake of being bad. And for me, if it's too obvious or too heavy-handed, I feel like it's gonna dock points.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If I'm like, you're deliberately being bad just to kind of get like oh my god, it's so bad.
Isn't
like,
this movie awful?
Isn't that movie just quirky and weird? It's like, nah. You're
like,
just
okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm scared. It's gonna be a little too heavy-handed.
It'd be
I
one
could be
thing
wrong.
if you actually like got behind this film,
Right.
and actually wanted it to succeed.
Yes.
But man, if you're just cranking out a piece
if you're
of
just
shit,
shoveling the shit on there, like
Right.
you're just trying to make it, what is it? What is the word I'm looking for? Ironic. You know what I mean?
Oh,
If
yeah.
it's that kind of thing, I'm like, it just feels
right,
forced.
scummy.
Right. Anyways, I'm not saying what those are going to be. I'm just scared going into those that I'm going to be like, oh, come on, guys. Anyways, that's bad for like bad movie standards.
Right,
like you're trying to be, anyways. So this movie that we watched today, I can't believe came out so long ago.
Yeah. What was it?
June of 2012.
Oh my god.
So we are almost a month away
from
the
it
10-year anniversary of this
jeez.
film. And may I say, for a 10-year film, it still looks beautiful.
Dude, it's pretty.
Oh my gosh.
It's real shiny.
It is Prometheus,
Mm.
the pseudo prequel film to the Alien franchise, if you will.
Right.
Wow. I cannot say enough good things about the way this movie looked and sounded.
Oh yeah, dude. It looks amazing.
Dude, all of the interiors, the costume design, even the exterior stuff, the planetary stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like once they land,
The environment shots look awesome.
The ship model or whatever, whether it's digital or a minifigure in that space where it's like over this field, these like mountains in the background. It just
flying through a canyon.
Oh my god, all of it looks so amazing that I'm like, it is hard to look at and not feel like it's real.
Yeah.
Like some of the stuff going on there. There's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of aspects of the movie that really help the suspension of disbelief.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of things there that that feel like within grasp. Like these interesting monitors that are all like projector based monitors and like seeing things.
You look at it and like,
yeah,
we'll probably have something like that later down the line.
But it's like it's in the atmosphere. It doesn't feel like fake. Like it's a weird projection or like some sort of weird. It looks like it's in the room.
Yeah.
They hold these little tablet looking things that feel like it could be some sort of real object. And then, of course, you look at all this ship interior with these buttons and panels, and nothing feels like so foreign that like you can't understand it.
Yeah, this is a human future ship,
right? And all those things and all those like physical items that they're like interacting with make everything feel very real.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you see all this like fancy alien tech stuff, you're like, wow, this is even harder to, harder to comprehend. But it all feels like it could be something somewhere.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really cool. Every aspect they were turning around and messing with something, I'm like, man, this is so. It feels real, which is so interesting, and it's good. I think it's good to a certain degree. I think for a sci-fi film. I know people get all up in arms with like, this isn't as
right.
This isn't accurate or whatever, but I'm not.
Yeah, it's the fucking future, dumbass.
But I'm talking about like
this is slightly believable, like future tech.
Right. Especially also because they're going to like a far off planet somewhere. So even still, you look at that and go like,
maybe one day.
Oh, right. It wasn't so hard that I couldn't comprehend what was going on.
Right.
But anyways,
the what may be of humanity's future spacefaring endeavors.
I believe, who was the actor that played?
It's a scary fucking prospect. I don't want to think about that.
Oh yeah. Michael Fassbender playing David. Oh, I knew, because I've watched Alien,
Mm-hmm.
I knew going into the start of this film, we're on a ship. He's the only one around.
He's awake before everyone else.
Right, and he's like moseying around. But I looked at it and I was like, okay, so I'm assuming he's the android tending to the ship while everyone else is in cryogenic stasis.
Exactly.
And so, I kind of I kind of inferred that because I know of Alien.
Mm-hmm.
But even if I didn't know that, I still think I would question what was wrong with him.
Right.
Because he moved in this sort of robotic way.
Mm-hmm.
It was just his body language and the way he was interacting with things around him. And those first few scenes where he had no lines and you're just like watching his mannerisms, you're like, something feels.
This is a very machine-like person.
Something feels off. Not like he's like a crazy person, but like
he's just very matter of fact and methodical. With
yeah,
his
yeah, and exactly, and it's like it sells that, especially at the top of the movie, whenever you have no idea what's going on.
Right. At one point, he's walking through what I'm assuming is like the dining area, and he like stops in his tracks, looks down on the floor, kneels down, and picks up something.
Yeah,
like a grain of dust. It seems like he's a fucking vacuum cleaner.
Right. Yeah, and it's all those, and even like there's even stuff as the movie's progressing along that you see him do certain things, and it just really sells this kind of unsettling nature of like he's human enough,
right,
but not quite there. It's
just
really
a little off.
It's really interesting to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the cast and crew of the ship.
Yeah.
It was a really cool ragtag group.
Mm-hmm.
Just like with the first two films that I've seen.
Yeah.
There's
you don't get everybody's name, but you get the name of every character that matters.
Right. But I'm just meaning the fact that it's like this motley crew of just almost misfits.
Peeps from all walks.
Right. Walks from all peeps. But each person has a specialization. Mm-hmm. And the premise of the film is that they're going to this planet because they have seen across all these different cultures that there is this one system that they're all pointing towards as like this what we're assuming is some sort of starting point, this home of some kind, the beginning of mankind.
They have deduced from these hieroglyphics from like many different cultures that they all have this same like outline of like what they're gathering to be a solar system that has a star very much like our own.
Right.
And that there may be a planet that supports life in that system.
Yeah. And so they end up getting a ship together called the Prometheus, and they fly it out there, and they start learning the hard way that this is
the hardest way.
The hardest way that this is not like a home planet of sorts.
Right. The two main characters, for all intents and purposes, are Dr. Holloway and Shaw, which are both trying to figure out the origins of humanity as a species.
Right. Yeah, it is an interesting turn of events, to say the least.
Right.
Basically, as the movie progresses on, they find out that it's not the home world of this alien race that they have found, but it is their like
like an outpost of sorts.
What was his name? Idris Elba's character, the captain.
Yeah,
he basically was saying it's like a military base. It's like you don't construct weapons at your home. You do that at a separate location.
Right. Weapons of mass destruction, no less.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where I get kind of lost in some of the concepts of the movie. Why were they making the black goop? Was it to reseed life on worlds to like be this progenitor race of some kind?
That was probably part of it. That's what they used at the beginning of the film. There's this opening shot of one of the engineers basically committing suicide to seed the Earth with a sort of offshoot of their own DNA.
Right.
Which is where we come from. But while that may have been one use of it, that probably wasn't the only use.
Yeah.
As we see, it possesses some sort of mutagen-like capabilities.
Right.
Whenever they find this stuff, like in a storage room, there are worms in the room also. Like
earthworms.
Yeah. And as it starts to ooze out of these vases that are all across the room, the worms begin to mutate.
Yeah.
Into these crazy snake-like creatures.
Yeah.
That are unnaturally strong.
Mm-hmm.
So
breaking a dude's arm in half.
Oh yeah,
that was terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It happened so fast too. It's like, oh, he's tightening on my arms. Like, please, cut him off. Come on, cut him off. And he, like, they're kind of, it's like that chaotic moment where they're all like kind of freaking out. He's like, it's gonna break my arm, and then like, oh my god. And
As
he's
if
like,
on cue.
Yeah, right, yeah.
The snake was like, break your arm, you say?
Watch this.
With pleasure.
Yeah, and like bends his elbow backwards, and it's like, oh,
bone
damn,
is sticking out.
There is a couple of moments in this film that are like that. This movie is, it's classified as sci-fi and horror, and I would definitely agree with that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just like I would with Alien in a different way, it has that same sort of element in this film of like, it's kind of spooky.
Right.
You don't know what's going on. There's like this unknown enemy that's kind of around, and you're learning more as you go around and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it's really interesting how it all
it's
pans
basically the same story progression as the first Alien.
Yes.
As opposed to the equivalent of a bunch of space truckers getting a distress signal and going to check it out. These people actually meant to come here on purpose.
Right.
And they're still just as unprepared.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, they had some semblance of a plan, at the very least.
Yeah. How would you even prepare for something like that, though?
You don't.
Precisely.
You hope for the best.
Man, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up finding out the hard way that the snakes that are mutated from the worms...
Not friendly.
Not friendly at all.
Nope.
And they can grow to be somewhat of a massive mutated facehugger.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, the snakes, I would say, are different. The big facehugger,
the octopus-looking guy,
came about by way of sexually transmitted parasitic organism.
STI.
Right.
Oh, no, it's STP.
STPO.
Sexually transmitted parasite.
Right.
Oh, that's so nasty.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, the xenomorphs have always had that underlying tone of grossness. But this would
oral asphyxiation.
Right.
Or oral...
impregnation.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just what happens.
That's exactly what it is.
But I would say the movie props it up to be the origin of, like, that's the first step.
When it's also, it's interesting because you can see how, at least from my perspective, how the creature that is the alien that we know of, the xenomorph, how it can, how would you even say that? I don't want to. I guess it is evolve.
Yeah.
How it evolves into what it is, because you start off with there are worms. There's the goop. There's the worms that turns into the snakes. That's all we have right there. That's kind of the end. That's the ending trick right there.
Yeah, that is one line that has been established.
Variation.
Goop, worms.
Right.
And repeat.
A little bit of goop. Just a little finger drop of goop.
Yeah.
Orally ingested. Through
a drink.
Right. Sexually transmitted into a woman.
The goop then affects the egg somehow.
Right.
And develops into that octopus fetus.
Oh, God. Yes. What is the word I'm looking for whenever an egg incubation phase.
Right.
And like it then incubates for a while and becomes an octopus creature.
Still grows exponentially.
Exponentially.
Kept that feature.
Right. I want to say she said they had intercourse 10 hours ago, and he's like, "Yeah, you're 3 months pregnant." It's like, "Oh,
3 fucking
shit,
months.
What the hell are you talking about? We haven't even been here 3 months. I've been in cryogenic stasis for 2 years."
Yeah. So they go real fast.
And supposedly she's not even supposed to be able to have kids.
Right. She's infertile.
Right, and that is not explicitly said, but it is implicitly said, and you get that, which I thought was a very powerful moment.
Oh yeah.
Talk about dialogue without dialogue. It is that thing that was taught by a lot of really talented actors, which is subtext.
Yeah.
Is what are you saying without saying any words? It's that emotion that you convey to the audience, and that moment
Did a good
was
job
that,
with that.
was that because it was to reiterate what happens in that moment. You have
Shaw and
Holloway. They're in this kind of relationship. Holloway is the man, and he is talking about how they're kind of having like this religious discussion about how you can just create life.
He's disappointed that they didn't find any engineers alive to ask them these questions.
Right, and how you can just get some DNA, slap it together, and bam,
half a brain.
Yeah, half a brain, you can make life. That's all it takes.
Right.
And Shaw kind of takes an offense to that.
Shaw is wounded.
It is hurt by that. And at first, I was a little confused. And then she gets really sad, and it hits her emotionally. And you're like, oh, what happened there?
And then a slip of the tongue there, buddy.
And then all she says was, "What does that make me?" And you're like,
I can't make life.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, damn. And then she gets real sad. And then of course he goes to console her and is like, "No, that's not what I meant. I really didn't mean for it to come across that way like that." It just is that moment where like, damn, I'm an idiot, is what it really feels like.
Yeah.
But again, it was never explicitly said that she was infertile. But in that moment, you need not say anything more. And it was so powerful, I thought. Anyways, to go back to the original conversation.
Right. So
incubates in and becomes an octopus thing.
Initially, they're trying to put her back into cryosleep.
Right.
I'm assuming because they either know what it is,
right,
and are just trying to hang on to it, or they don't.
Yeah,
and they just know that she's just pregnant and probably should go to sleep.
Right. But or even I think that he may know what it is and doesn't want to deal with it.
Definitely,
and it's just
like he knew.
We will deal with it later.
Right.
This is a problem for tomorrow.
Right.
Is what
when she discovers this, she immediately wants to get it out. In Fallout, it was called the auto dock. Oh yeah,
yeah, a little auto dock. You got to go in there and get it. And oh man, you want to talk about a hard scene to watch? It wasn't
very impromptu C-section.
It was it by all means it wasn't bad. It's just how slow and deliberate it was.
Oh yeah,
that was the part that hurt the most.
They don't make this a quick and easy affair.
No.
Visceral.
You can see her insides rumbling around and bulging in some ways. And you're like,
that thing is
shit.
Moving.
It is moving hard.
Yeah.
And it is also growing fast. And so you have this sense of urgency of like, oh shit, it's going to kill her.
Right.
And then of course, like this poor auto robot doctor machine that she hops inside is like a tube, like a pod.
Right.
So she lays down in it and it like closes on her. There's windows everywhere, but still would make me kind of claustrophobic, I feel like.
Thus begins the self-contained surgery.
And it goes on its merry way as if it has all the time in the world. And she's panicking a little bit. Like, I was like, girl, right. it's about to cut into you and your belly's moving an awful lot. Not because of the monster, but because you're breathing so heavily.
Right.
And it's going to start cutting. So it sprays like the antiseptic on her, and then this laser comes out and it starts like making this incision, and it's so slow, and it's like,
it just hurts to watch.
Yeah, it's not that it's graphic or it's like vulgar in any way.
You're not gonna see blood and intestines flying,
right? Because it's like a laser, so it's like almost
a surgical machine,
right? And it's very precise, but it's just the fact of like it's the anxiety of the situation. There's this alien in there, and then it's just like so precise and just like just taking its time, and she's like screaming and you're like, hurry up! Like, damn, dude. And then of course they have like these. I mean, I'm going into great detail, and it's a
good scene.
Sorry for anybody out there that's a little squeamish.
Yeah, nah. We've talked about much worse, I'm sure.
But then it has like these little like pry arms that kind of open the wound a little bit.
It's like, let's just open that up real quick.
But it's not quick. It's just very like, let's go ahead and just take a little look in there. And then of course,
what the hell is this?
Yeah. And then to add insult to injury, I thought this was funny. Yes. And then of course, like this arm swivels out and it pops down and it's a claw.
Yeah.
And I was like, not the claw. And the claw comes down like a little like a toy machine. You find
like, let's see what we can get today.
Let's see what prize we can get out of here. And of course it just goes inside this lower abdomen wound and it just like pulls out this.
It's an abomination.
Look at it. Surprise.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So anyways, and then of course and then the only thing that it probably ever does fast is it pushes the wound back together and it starts to stapling the shit out of her.
Oh yeah.
Pop, 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 pop.
Seal that up.
And I'm like, holy God, slow down, guys. Like,
just slap a Band-Aid on that.
Yeah,
get out
right
of
there.
Up nice.
It was taking its sweet time getting that
doing
thing out of there.
Everything else.
But the second it's done, it's like, let's let's get that thing locked up.
I mean, I guess makes sense. It's a lot easier
right.
to tape things up than it is to just pry them open.
It is a surgery. I'm obviously pulling its leg. I mean, obviously, I know you want to be precise when it comes to like removing the abomination from the patient.
And it's not even like the creature itself at first. It's like the amniotic sac.
Oh yeah.
With the creature is still inside.
Yeah, and it's this whole thing.
And the worst part.
No.
Hold on to your stomachs. This thing is pulled out of her.
Yes.
And then it bursts open.
Yeah.
Revealing the little baby octopus.
Yeah. It looks like an octopus.
It is like, this odd squid-like body with 4 tentacles.
Yeah.
Not a pretty thing to look at. Certainly not something you'd want to see come out of you.
No, definitely not.
So, once removed, she promptly gets the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And is now wandering through the ship.
Yeah, and I mean, like, worse for wear.
Oh, yeah.
Underwear, blood, and it's just like with these staples freshly just really smashed in there. She like walks in this room and is like falls on her knees and is like, ugh. And I was like, damn, you need a nap. Right. I would need a nap just watching that.
Now, before we get to this next part,
okay,
I should note that this expedition is funded by none other than Weyland-Yutani Corp.
Weyland-Yutani Corp.
Never would have fucking guessed, right?
Oh, of course. Not in an alien film.
Of course not. So, as soon as she walks... Now, at this point, Weyland himself is presumed dead.
Right.
He's an old man by this time.
Yeah. And
he wasn't long for the world.
He was old and wasn't long for this world 2 years ago.
Right.
And now we're 2 years in the future. So you're definitely like, yeah, there's no way.
Super dead.
Yeah.
She walks into the room. Stumbles.
Yeah, right.
And wouldn't you know it,
dun, dun, dun.
Weyland,
just old,
the man himself,
the old
there.
bag himself is just there.
Crusty piece of shit.
Yeah. And then, of course, the funny thing is, I wasn't assuming that he was going to go out there to go meet the alien himself. Right. So I didn't know that.
Fucking crazy.
And
dude.
We're not even like finished with this movie yet. And I asked Dylan, I was like, so by the time Alien takes place, he's dead, right? And he's like, oh, yes. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea. He gets his freaking head beat in.
Makes an appearance.
Well, I mean,
a sudden disappearance.
Right. Yeah. So anyways, that was
because he's almost at the end of his rope, he is desperate for a way out.
Yes.
And he hears about Sean Holloway's discoveries of these concurrent hieroglyphics and what they may lead to. Yeah. So he's like, oh, man, if these motherfuckers made us, they might be able to fix me.
Yeah.
Like a dumbass.
Right.
And, of course, as David explores the ship that is underground, they find where all, like, the black goo is stored, he finds the bridge/cryo chamber of these engineers. And he finds that one is alive.
Mm.
So,
So all the rest on that planet are presumed dead, besides
Yes.
that one. Okay.
as far as we know, he was the only survivor.
And they got knocked off by the black goop monsters, I'm assuming?
Yeah, there was an outbreak of some sort at some point, and most of them ended up dead. Like, at one point, you see a pile of corpses, like, up against a wall.
Right. That's
So,
crazy.
Yeah.
So it was, so by them, so I guess what triggered it? It was them going into that big headroom, the big old head in it.
Right. Yeah.
They went in there, and I guess they were like changing the atmosphere.
Yeah, they opened up the room, which has been sealed for countless years,
Right.
and apparently being exposed to the present day atmosphere doesn't
Right.
do it any favors, and sort of reactivates the goop, I guess you could say. Everything starts oozing out.
Right. Causing a ruckus.
It's like opening up the refrigerator, except everything starts to spoil immediately.
Right. Exactly. Because that was the point that I was kind of getting a little confused as the movie was progressing. Was so if all of them died, like what killed them? Was it like one specific thing? And if it was like where did it go?
Right. They
Is it
never
still-
really elaborate on that.
Yeah,
We're just left to assume that
it just
something
died
went
off.
wrong, and
Yeah.
most of them ended up dead.
And I guess whatever killed them either escaped somewhere or is just it died
Right.
because it didn't have any more hosts. I guess I don't know. It's really crazy.
Freaky stuff.
Yeah, it is such an interesting and suspenseful film.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Oh, definitely.
It's a lot of fun. Let's look at some little fun facts we got here.
Oh, yeah.
According to Ridley Scott, he drew inspiration for the plot of Prometheus from the writing of the Swiss author. Oh my God, the Swiss author Erich von Däniken, who wrote about ancient astronauts and the prospect of celestial gods and space engineers.
That's cool.
Interesting. Let's see. Prometheus was originally a straightforward Alien prequel. It was originally conceived to be as a straightforward prequel to Scott's original Alien, initially titled Alien Engineers. The script by John Spites, I guess is how you pronounce that.
Yeah.
Was shown to the director, who advised Scott to mix many of the links to the original film to achieve a more unique and original creation.
Yeah.
Scott agreed.
Because at first I remember seeing the trailers for this one and didn't catch on that it was... Well, no, because the trailer for Prometheus had that alarm sound effect from the Nostromo in it.
Right.
So that was sort of a dead giveaway.
It said Scott agreed and hired him to rewrite the script, which he spent 8 months completing. The entire film was then reworked to entail the original story of the engineers and how it paralleled the Greek myth of Prometheus, a titan who gifted humanity with fire.
Right.
Prometheus is still technically a prequel, since it plays with the original origin of the xenomorph, but it's only an alien prequel in the broadest sense of the word.
Right.
So makes sense. It says that Charlize Theron, which is the Wayland's daughter.
Yeah.
I forgot what her character's name was.
They called her Vickers.
Oh, yeah, Vickers. Meredith Vickers. She was originally cast to play Elizabeth Shaw.
Oh.
But they said they actually liked her better for the other role instead.
Yeah, I think she does a good job.
Max von Sydow was supposed to be Peter Wayland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Who's Max?
I don't know.
Interesting. Let's see. Wait. Let's pull up the little cast list again.
Right.
Max plays. Oh gosh, look at this big old cast list.
It's a lot of people in
Look
this
at all
movie.
them people. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing anybody here named Max.
Well, folks, you'll just have to figure it out
You just
yourselves.
gotta figure out who Max is yourself. One of the story changes that came out of the rewritten script forced a major casting alteration. Scott initially wanted the legendary actor Max von Sydow to play the elderly Peter Wayland, but the script entailed a younger version of the character appearing in a dream that von Sydow simply couldn't portray.
Right.
So they did a younger person and made him look old.
Yeah, that did look a bit weird.
Yeah.
You could definitely tell it was all makeup.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they did the best they could.
Prometheus was based on a scrapped Alien 5.
Really?
10 years before Prometheus was produced, Alien director James Cameron and Ridley Scott discussed collaborating on a fifth Alien film. The plan was for Cameron to produce with Scott directing. Unfortunately, whenever Fox announced that the blockbuster-style franchise mashup Alien vs. Predator in 2004, Cameron dropped all involvement with the future Alien film, claiming that the crossover would ruin the validity of the franchise.
Oh, come on. It's definitely
right.
action-centric, but I don't think it ruined it.
I don't think it ruined it either. Not all of this went to waste, as Scott incorporated some of the ideas he and Cameron conceived of in Prometheus.
Well, that's good.
Ridley Scott says he prioritized practical effects, and I can definitely see that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All the Prometheus features some 1,300 digital effects shots. Scott was adamant about using as little CGI as possible. In addition to citing practical in-camera effects as being more affordable, Scott also recalled advice given to him by Oscar-winning visual effects master Douglas Trumbull on the set of Blade Runner. Trumbull once said, "If you can do it live, while making an iconic sci-fi classic."
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to argue that this is a gorgeous film.
And I think it really does. It portrays that in a lot of that. As I'm saying, everything felt real, and I think having all those practical effects really does lend to that really thing.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, one of my favorite bits that the reason I like that they introduced the engineers in this film is that we get one of the coolest Predator stories out of it.
Wait, what?
Oh, yes. So, I'm sure I've mentioned before my infatuation with the Yautja species, the Predators, how they're these badass galactic hunters.
Right.
Like game hunters, basically.
Yeah.
There is one in particular named Ahab.
Yes.
Who makes it his life's goal to hunt one of these engineers.
Really?
Oh, yes. It's from a comic that highlights his story and how he ends up killing one of these motherfuckers. And it's so cool. Like, I've got a figure of this guy.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. He's got, I think he's one of the, I can't remember the name for it. Like, the closest thing to, like, a clan leader that you can get.
Right.
A chieftain. So already one of the most badass kind of predators you can get. And, man, he pulls out all the stops on this thing. He ends up with one of their rifles, too. Like, he actually ends up being able to use one of their weapons. In
That's
addition to like the
crazy.
plasma caster, the spear, the blade discs, all those things.
Right.
Super cool. Fucking love that.
So, do you remember the guy, Fifield?
Yes.
Yes, he was, I think, the kind of, I want to say he was Scottish, or he was
Scottish, Irish,
something like that.
either one.
He had like a little shaved head with a tattoo on the side of his head.
Mm-hmm.
It said there was a sequence that was ultimately dropped from the final cut of the film and altered in the extended version, where Fifield transforms directly links to Scott's original alien.
Oh,
When attacked at the cargo bay in the theatrical cut, Fifield morphs into an upright Cro-Magnon like creature.
Ugh.
However, in the extended version, the iconic black liquid from the Alien franchise turns him into a very recognizable xenomorph / human hybrid.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so it's like this really interesting kind of
Freaky.
weird halfway kind of thing.
I kind of like how the effects of the goop are almost random. Like, for instance,
Yeah, right.
if it's ingested, it will break you down by
Right.
the DNA.
Yeah.
But if it is
It turned you
interacted
like into a
with
zombie thing.
in any other way, yeah, it can affect you in wildly different ways.
That's crazy. Dude, I'm telling you, like one of the more scary parts of the film was whenever Holloway, I almost said Hathaway, Holloway
Yeah.
was like still alive outside of the ship, and he was like all twisted up and mangled,
Oh, yeah.
and he just like stands up and like his this.
Oh, you're talking about Fifield.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yeah. The dude that was outside of the cargo bay stood up.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
him.
so that's the scene I'm talking about then.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's
Kills
terrifying.
Several people.
Yes.
Mhm.
He's like this zombie like creature thing. And
Yeah.
he looks terrifying. But he's also like kind of indestructible is what it feels
Yeah,
like.
he's shaking off bullets
Yeah.
and all sorts of other stuff. A flamethrower doesn't kill him right away.
No. Anyways, it just is terrifying
Yeah.
to look at. I'm like, that's so scary.
Mm-hmm.
It said that Ridley Scott kept the cast in the dark about who was all playing with each other
Yeah,
to have a more natural reaction.
that's good.
Just as he did with the cast
With
of
the
Alien,
original, yeah.
ahead
Yeah.
of the infamous chestburster scene
Uh-huh.
during the Nostromo crew dinner.
Man, that is the
Scott,
best way to do
dude,
things.
Scott deliberately kept certain details about the day's shot from the cast. He did this to elicit as many natural reactions as possible. That's so interesting and also
Yeah.
scary.
Oh, yeah.
I just imagine being on set and be like, okay, action is like, wah! You're like, oh my God, what is going on?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Works especially well for horror movies.
It said that Fassbender's performance drew from a lot of different sources.
Really?
Although his agent, I don't know what all this is going. For one, Fassbender studied Scott's films like Blade Runner,
Mhm.
which features lifelike androids called replicants.
Oh, yeah.
That still have a few telltale quirks that distinguish them from humans. He also studied David Bowie's performance in The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Oh, yeah.
Another one, The Servant. So he took a
This
lot
guy
of
really
different
did his homework.
inspirations. Yeah. So yeah, that's very interesting. And then number one, here's the last one.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott filmed an R-rated and a PG-13 Prometheus at the same time.
Really?
Scott is such a skilled craftsman that he
G13.
simultaneously directed potential rated R and PG-13 versions of Prometheus. He did so with 20th Century Fox CEO Tom Rothman's blessing, who ensured fans that Scott's vision would not be compromised no matter the official rating.
That's so weird.
How interesting. while filming, it said that Scott shot with reckless abandon to make the most brutal version possible.
Nice.
Knowing that if the gorier aspects had to be cut, he had some PG-13 minded backup footage in place. In the end, the film was rated R.
Yeah.
Without
I can't imagine
a single
this
studio
being a
note.
PG-13 movie.
No. Scott was happy with the final result, that he declined the chance to release an extended director's cut, claiming the theatrical the theatrical cut adheres to his intended vision.
Yeah.
How cool.
As a whole, I think it's an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
From what I remember, the wide reception of it was just like meh.
And that's what I never watched this movie until right now.
Oh, yeah?
I've never seen it.
Oh,
I have seen a few key moments. I think I've seen that opening sequence before.
Yeah.
With the alien kind of drinking the goop and becoming like all blah.
Right.
And I think I saw the scene where Fifield turns into a zombie guy.
Oh, okay.
I kind of have seen that scene.
Yeah.
But didn't know what it was in context. Excuse me.
Well, now that you do, how do you feel it compares to most of the other Alien films, at least the ones you've seen?
I can see why someone that probably really enjoys Alien was upset, because there was no like specific xenomorph reference,
right,
except for like at the very end. Mm-hmm. So I can
With
see
it
how
being a prequel, I wouldn't think they would.
Yeah, same.
Bust the
But
big
I can
guys out like
but
right
I can
away.
Yeah, but I can see how someone can get kind of upset. There's not more recognition or something, you know.
Yeah.
And also, even if you don't factor in that, just the kind of suspense that I think the original two movies that I've seen kind of has, that it's this, there's this level of, I don't want to say anxiety, but it's like this level of pressure, where like tension. There you go. It's like this level of tension that like is kind of always present once you know that the xenomorph is there. It's right. Like you got to be prepared.
Yeah. In the first movie, this thing's presence is
already
like intimidating enough.
Right.
Especially with how it interacts with most of the crew.
Yeah.
I.e. killing them.
And this movie didn't have that same level of suspense to it.
No.
It had it in a different way.
That's part of the reason I kind of like it.
Yeah. And that's
because the xenomorph is non-existent at this point.
Right. But you're seeing, for me,
hasn't come about yet, but you see how it could have been made or was made.
Right.
But I do like the fact that they introduce a bunch of other creatures or mutations in this one.
Different variants of what could be.
Mm-hmm.
But and I like that about it.
Oh, yeah.
But I can see how it would probably get less reception if people go in there with the same mindset of like, I'm looking for this like really tense.
Right. I'm looking for a xenomorph.
Right. Or I'm looking for the same tension that a xenomorph would give me.
Mm-hmm.
Which like this had a very minor level of that, but there was other things that added to that like, for instance, not knowing if you could trust David,
right?
The android, like, is he doing something suspicious?
Because
he kind of acts a little
right. David gives you an inherent sense of like paranoia,
right?
Because you know he's not human and you don't know what he's thinking,
right?
Most of the time,
and the way the camera lingers on him in a certain few ways, he knows things about this place before they even get there,
right? And
it's like it just kind of adds this level of like, why are you touching that? We just got here, and it just
what are you
like, doing? Yeah, and it's like this level of like, what's happening here?
Yeah, what's your game here, dude?
Yeah, and it kind of makes it a little unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that kind of, it's not explicitly this monster that we're all running away from,
right? This one,
but is the potential of that monster.
Yeah,
gives
off the horror in a different sense, in that the main alien that ends up showing up at the end of the film is not. I think the main difference is that this is a humanoid type alien.
Yeah,
like it's recognizable but still different.
Right.
Whereas the xenomorph is completely alien.
Right.
Like, what the fuck that thing is.
Yeah.
I think that's what freaks me out the most about the xenomorph is that design of it.
Right. It is this whole
Do
new
not
thing.
want to see that thing stalking the halls.
Exactly.
Whereas the engineers are just big dudes.
Yeah. Oh, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's cool.
The thing is, in comparison to Alien and Aliens, it is I would say a very different movie.
Yeah.
But separate from all that, knowing that I know what it is, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very good film. There's a few quirks about it, like we said.
Right. It's not perfect.
The one clip that everyone kind of makes fun of them for is like the whole running in a straight line as the ship is falling.
Right.
Like that kind of stuff's a little understandable for you to kind of poke fun at it. But I don't know.
It's a fun movie.
I'm not super critical about that kind of stuff because I also don't think I have as much buy-in as someone that probably like watches this series or has watched this series since it probably came out in like the 80s or whatever. So I can understand why I may have a different opinion.
Right. It's not something I'd ever get upset over.
Right.
You know?
The big thing is I'm able to look over some of its shortcomings and like as a story line because of how beautiful it is.
Any nitpicks you may have are completely overshadowed by the movie as a whole, I think.
Yeah. Just visually. I'm able to look at things and also
so fucking pretty.
Yeah, that and the music, they're the same like theme kind of keeps coming back and playing at a certain moment, but it's just subtle enough that it makes it feel like you can recall it really well. It just, like I said, there's other aspects of the movie that they did really well, especially for a 10-year-old film.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like watching it going, man, this is a fantastic film. So, yeah. Anyways. Oh, also, a little fun fact is that the last engineer was played by an actor named Ian.
Wow.
So, there you go.
Why didn't you tell me?
Ha ha ha. I'm here to destroy humanity.
I'm also huge.
I'm also big.
Slightly larger than the average human.
Right. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate all of that. If you're looking for us, you can type in Linktree/Ian Wolf, and you should be able to find all of our links there, where you can get in contact with us, and also all the major podcasting platforms. You can just type in The Aftermath on those. Give us a 5-star review. Appreciate that.
It's counting down the seconds.
You know, I'm tired. It's been a long day.
Right.
So today I'm really interested in this conversation, but I'm also like, I just want to kind of take a nap now.
Right.
Anyways, until next time, thank you so much for listening.
See ya.
Bye-bye.